The great chamber of the Galaxy Council was never quiet. Normally, it was filled with the sound of 1,000 voices, alien tongues debating trade, war, peace, and power. The air shimmered with colors of different atmospheres, translators worked endlessly, and light from 100 stars reflected off polished walls. But today was different. Today, silence ruled the chamber. At the center stood the High Speaker, a tall, insect-like figure with golden eyes. His voice usually carried authority that silenced all others. Yet now, even he hesitated. The reason was simple. The reason was terrifying. Humanity. The word itself seemed strange in the chamber. Only a few centuries ago, humans were unknown, just another small species on a distant blue world. Weak, fragile, unremarkable. Most counselors had not even heard of Earth back then. But in less than 200 years, the story had changed. Humans had left their planet. They had spread across their system. They had built ships, colonies, and weapons faster than anyone expected. While other species took thousands of years to rise from stone tools to spaceflight, humans had done it in the blink of a cosmic eye. And the most dangerous thing, they had done it without permission. The Galaxy Council ruled through laws. No species was allowed to expand beyond their world without first joining the Council, without accepting guidance, without swearing loyalty. This was how peace had been kept for millennia. Any young race was carefully guided, watched, and controlled. But humans had broken every rule. The Council had tried to reach them, at first with polite messages. Join us, share knowledge, walk with us. No answer. Then with envoys carrying treasures and gifts. Still, no answer. Finally, with warnings. And then an ultimatum, negotiate or face consequences. But Earth never replied. The silence was louder than war drums. It was louder than threats. It was louder than promises. Inside the chamber, the alien leaders whispered among themselves. A scaled creature with bright red eyes leaned close to another counselor and hissed, "Why do they not speak? Do they not fear us?" A being of liquid light replied softly, "Perhaps they have no need to fear." These words made others uneasy. Every species knew the power of the Galaxy Council. Fleets beyond number. Weapons that could turn worlds into ash. Yet for some reason, humans had ignored them all. One counselor, a massive reptilian general, slammed his claws against the table. "This is madness. They are children. They are reckless. If they do not kneel, we will break them." But his voice did not convince the others, because in their hearts, even the strongest among them felt something they had not felt in centuries. Something dangerous. Fear. It was true that humanity's fleets were small compared to the Council. It was true their worlds were few, their weapons young. But there was something about their silence that was unnatural. Why ignore gifts? Why reject peace? Why not even answer? Silence was not weakness. Silence was strategy. The High Speaker finally raised his voice, steady but heavy. "We are gathered because Earth has refused all talks. For cycles, we have waited. For cycles, they ignore us. This cannot continue." All eyes turned toward him. The chamber's walls displayed images. Ships leaving Earth, humans settling moons, constructing stations, building faster engines. The images changed, weapons tested, colonies fortified, fleets gathering. "They are preparing," whispered one counselor. But for what? The question hung in the air. No one dared answer. Some thought humans were planning for war. Others believed they had discovered something beyond the stars, something they wanted to hide. A few whispered that maybe humans were not ignoring the Council at all. Maybe they were watching. Maybe they were studying. The idea spread like a shadow across the chamber. What if humanity was waiting? Waiting for the Council to make the first mistake? Waiting for the galaxy to reveal its weakness? The High Speaker struck the ground with his staff, the sound echoing like thunder. They will answer, one way or another. But even he could not hide the unease in his eyes. The meeting ended, but no peace followed. Leaders left the chamber whispering of fleets, of spies, of secret weapons. Rumors spread faster than ships. Traders spoke of human ships seen far beyond their borders. Soldiers whispered of human scouts vanishing into deep space and never returning. For the first time in thousands of years, the Galaxy Council did not feel in control. And across the stars, humanity remained silent. Not a word, not a signal, not a sign of fear. The silence itself became a weapon more terrifying than any cannon, any bomb, any fleet. And the galaxy began to realize something dreadful. When a young species does not bow, does not beg, and does not even speak, perhaps they do not see themselves as weak at all. Perhaps they see themselves as equals. Or worse, perhaps they see themselves as predators. The Galaxy Council had ended its meeting, but the fear did not end. In fact, it spread faster than light. Across star systems, across trade routes, across the halls of power, whispers of humanity's silence moved from world to world. Merchants told stories of human colonies growing stronger every month. Captains claimed they saw human ships mining entire asteroids, then vanishing into the dark. Soldiers spoke of outposts destroyed, not by war, but by human expansion. The Council had demanded an answer. The humans gave none. The Council had offered riches and technology. The humans refused. The Council had threatened. The humans stayed silent. And so, the galaxy began to invent its own answers. Some believed the humans had discovered a weapon beyond understanding. Something ancient, something hidden in the dark between the stars. A weapon so strong, they no longer needed the Council. Others whispered a different fear. What if humans had made a secret alliance? Perhaps with one of the lost civilizations, the ones that vanished long ago, leaving ruins across dead worlds. Maybe humans were not alone. Maybe they had found teachers far older and far wiser than the Council itself. The rumors grew wild. On the cold desert world of Narin, scholars whispered in dim halls. What if humans are building fleets greater than the Council's? On the ocean world of Salura, traders muttered in floating markets. What if they have already mapped the hidden wormholes we fear to use? And in the military academies of the reptilian warlords, young soldiers asked in low voices, what if they are not silent because they are weak, but because they are ready? Fear is contagious, and it spread across the galaxy like fire in dry grass. Meanwhile, Earth continued to grow. From their blue homeworld, humans sent out colony ships. They landed on moons and planets with brutal conditions, frozen rocks, burning deserts, storms that tore the sky. But instead of failing, they adapted. They built domes, tunnels, and machines. They survived where other species would have surrendered. Human fleets moved farther each year. Not massive armadas, but fast, sharp, and quiet. Their designs were strange to alien eyes. Ships with heavy armor, weapons hidden inside, engines modified for sudden bursts of speed. They were not built for show, not built for pride. They were built for war. And yet, humans never attacked. They mined. They built. They expanded. But they never struck first. This made the Council even more afraid, because it meant humans were waiting, and no one knew for what. The Council tried again. This time, instead of an ultimatum, they sent gifts through trade fleets, rare crystals, advanced medicine, luxuries from across the stars. The gifts reached human colonies. They were accepted, but no reply ever came back. The silence continued. Inside the Council chamber, arguments grew. One of the oldest counselors, a being made of living light, spoke in a trembling voice. We should leave them alone. Let them rise. Let them grow. Better a strong neighbor than a dangerous enemy. But a reptilian general roared in anger. No, they insult us with silence. They spit on our laws. If we allow this, every young species will rebel. The galaxy will break into chaos. Others argued in between. Some wanted spies. Some wanted assassins. Some wanted to show power by destroying a single human colony as a warning. But no one agreed. And in their division, the Council's power began to crack. Meanwhile, humanity continued as if the Council did not even exist. On Titan's frozen plains, humans built vast mining cities. On Mars, red deserts turned into green farmland under domes. On distant moons near gas giants, humans drilled into ice to find oceans and built floating colonies. Everywhere they went, they planted flags. Flags not of surrender, but of ownership. The silence of Earth was becoming something else. It was becoming a message. A small counselor, nervous and trembling, whispered the words many feared. They are telling us that they do not need us, that they do not fear us. that they will walk their own path. And those words were heavier than any weapon. Across the stars, old empires began to prepare. Fleets were polished, weapons were armed, borders were reinforced. But deep inside, the leaders of those empires knew the truth. It was not humanity preparing for them. It was a galaxy preparing for humanity. The balance of power was shifting, and it was shifting fast. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Galaxy Council was not the center of control. A small world, once ignored, once laughed at, had changed everything. And yet, still, Earth remained silent. The silence pressed on the galaxy like a storm about to break. Everyone could feel it. No one could escape it. And somewhere, far beyond map space, human ships were seen again, slipping into the void, disappearing into the black. Where they went, no one knew. What they carried, no one dared imagine. The whispers of fear grew louder. The galaxy trembled, and humanity said nothing. The Galaxy Council could not endure the silence any longer. Every day, rumors grew louder. Every day, human fleets expanded farther. Every day, fear tightened its grip on the galaxy. The Council's unity was breaking, and if something was not done soon, the galaxy itself might fall into chaos. So, they decided to act. The plan was simple: send their greatest negotiator to Earth. Not a soldier, not a spy, a diplomat, someone who had ended wars, created treaties, and bent the most stubborn empires to the Council's will. That someone was Ellerin of the Valari species. Ellerin was tall and slender, with skin like polished silver and eyes that shimmered like glass. His voice was smooth, able to twist words into silk. For hundreds of years, he had walked into hostile chambers and left with enemies turned into allies. If anyone could break Earth's silence, it was him. The Council prepared a ship for him, grand, shining, filled with treasures from across the stars. Rare jewels, powerful medicines, technology that could make planets bloom. The message was clear: come to us, humans. We offer friendship. We offer greatness. When the ship left the Council space, the entire galaxy seemed to watch. Leaders whispered, soldiers waited, and merchants prayed. All eyes turned toward Earth. The journey took weeks. Through wormholes and across dark space, Ellerin traveled in silence, rehearsing his words. He imagined how he would speak to humans, gentle but firm, respectful but powerful. He was certain they would listen. All species listened to him. Finally, the ship reached Earth's system. Through the windows, Ellerin saw the blue and green planet below, shining against the void. Around it, he noticed ships, human ships. Not grand fleets, not endless armadas, but strong and purposeful. They did not approach him, did not attack, but they watched. It was enough to make even Ellerin's silver skin grow cold. He opened a channel, his voice calm and smooth. Great humans of Earth, I come in peace. I am Ellerin of the Valari, chosen by the Galaxy Council. I bring gifts of knowledge, gifts of power. The galaxy offers you friendship. We ask you to join us, to walk beside us. There was silence. Ellerin waited. He knew patience. He had spoken to species that took hours before answering. He had spoken to creatures that only communicated through long songs. He could wait. Then, after what felt like forever, the reply came. 4 words, spoken in a cold, human voice. We do not negotiate. The words struck harder than any weapon. Ellerin froze. He had expected discussion, arguments, even anger. But not this. Not silence, broken only by rejection. He tried again. Humans, perhaps you misunderstand. We do not come to threaten. We come to share. The Council holds wisdom from 1,000 worlds. Your people could prosper. Your people could thrive. Again, silence. And then, the same reply. We do not negotiate. Ellerin's silver skin rippled in shock. He was not a soldier, but at that moment, he felt like a warrior facing defeat. His words, his weapons, his power, useless. The human voice added nothing more. No explanation, no threat, no kindness, just refusal. The connection ended. And in that moment, Ellerin realized something terrible. It was not that humans could not understand. It was not that humans were too weak. It was that they had chosen to stand apart, chosen to refuse the galaxy itself. He returned to his ship, heavy with shame, and left Earth's orbit under the watchful eyes of human fleets. They did not fire, but they followed until his ship crossed into deep space. Only then did they vanish back into the dark. When Ellerin returned to the Galaxy Council, the chamber erupted. Some councilors shouted in disbelief. They refused you? They refused you. Others roared with anger. This is an insult. This is war. And others still trembled in fear. If they will not even negotiate with Ellerin, what does that mean for the rest of us? The High Speaker demanded to know exactly what was said. Ellerin's voice, usually so steady, cracked as he repeated the words. We do not negotiate. The chamber shook with rage and panic. Some pounded at tables, demanding fleets to crush Earth. Others cried for caution, warning that the silence had something dangerous. But deep inside, all of them felt the same fear. Because in refusing Ellerin, humanity had refused not just a man, not just a gift, not just a council. They had refused the entire galaxy. That night, the council chamber was silent again. Leaders sat in private rooms, staring into the dark, wondering what the future held. For thousands of years, the council had believed itself unchallenged. But now, a young species had spoken for words that carried the weight of rebellion. We do not negotiate. And with those words, the galaxy began to change. The words still echoed in the chamber of the Galaxy Council. We do not negotiate. For words, spoken by humanity, had struck harder than any weapon. The great leaders of the galaxy sat in silence, each one lost in thought. Their pride was wounded, their confidence broken. For centuries, the council had been the center of power, feared and respected by all. But now, a young species had rejected them without hesitation, and the council began to split. The first to speak was General Karath of the Drakes, a reptilian warlord known for his temper. His scaled fist slammed against the table. This cannot stand, he roared. They mock us with silence. They mock us with defiance. If they refuse to kneel, then we will crush them under our fleets. Many councilors cheered in agreement. War was their answer to everything. They believed the humans were reckless children, arrogant and foolish. To them, a swift strike would remind Earth who ruled the stars. But others disagreed. A counselor from the Silura, a water-breathing race of great traders, raised her voice. Her tone was soft but firm. You speak of war, Karath, but think. Humanity has refused gifts, refused peace, refused Ellerin himself. They know who we are, and still they do not fear. What if we attack and fail? What if they hold weapons we do not understand? Her words silenced the chamber for a moment, because deep inside, even the warlike species knew she spoke truth. The chamber erupted into chaos. One faction shouted for war. Another begged for patience. Some demanded spies be sent. Others demanded blockades around human systems. Voices rose higher and higher, translators struggling to keep up, until the chamber sounded like a battlefield. The High Speaker struck his staff against the floor, but this time the thunder of his command was weaker. Even he could not hide the cracks forming in the council's unity. In the days that followed, the divisions grew deeper. The warlords held secret meetings, whispering plans of invasion. They spoke of human colonies as easy prey, of burning Mars and Titan to ash before Earth could react. They believed speed would win. The traders held their own councils, whispering of profit and loss. They warned their fleets to avoid human space, fearing their ships would vanish into the dark. They began hoarding resources, preparing for markets to collapse if war began. And the scholars were the most afraid of all. In their libraries, they studied ancient records. They compared humanity to old stories, to races that once rose quickly and challenged the order of the galaxy. Some of those races had been destroyed, but others had simply vanished, leaving only ruins behind. The scholars asked questions no one wanted to hear. What if humanity is not like us at all? What if their silence means something greater? Meanwhile, humanity continued to expand. Council spies reported new colonies in harsh places where no other species dared live. Frozen moons, dead planets, drifting rocks. Places that should have killed them, but instead became home. Council scouts followed human fleets, only to vanish without a trace. Some returned, their ships damaged, their crews shaken, refusing to speak of what they saw. Whispers spread in the shadows. The humans know we are watching. The tension inside the council chamber grew unbearable. At one heated meeting, General Karath roared again, his claws scraping sparks from the table. If we wait, they will only grow stronger. Every year, their fleets multiply. Every year, they take more worlds. If we do nothing, humanity will soon rival us all. Across the chamber, Counselor Lethra of Salura answered with calm defiance. And if we attack, Karath, what then? If we destroy one colony, will that make them bow? Or will it awaken a fury we cannot contain? Her words struck deep. Everyone remembered the human refusal. Calm, cold, unshaken. If humans could speak such words while still young, what would they say when war burned their skies? The chamber fell into silence again. For the first time, counselors turned not against humanity, but against each other. Trust began to crumble. Old allies refused to speak. Deals were broken, pacts ignored. The unity of the council, something that had lasted for millennia, was now in danger of collapse, and all of it came from Earth's silence. In the shadows of the chamber, some counselors began plotting alone. They sent private fleets to spy. They ordered assassins to infiltrate human colonies. They prepared secret weapons, just in case. But the more they tried to move in secret, the more paranoid others became. The council's great strength was unity. Now, that unity was gone. Across the galaxy, citizens began to feel the change. Merchants noticed that borders grew tense, guarded by fleets. Farmers heard rumors of war. Soldiers prepared for battles not against humans, but against each other. For the first time in living memory, the galaxy did not feel safe. And humanity did nothing. They sent no ships to the council. They sent no answers to their messages. They continued to mine, to build, to expand. Their silence was no longer just silence. It was power, and it was breaking the galaxy apart. The cracks in the Galaxy Council grew wider with each passing day. Factions whispered in secret. Old allies broke trust, and fear spread across the stars. But while the Council argued and divided, humanity continued its work in silence. And in the silence, a shadow was rising. At first, it began with sightings. Merchant ships reported human fleets moving in strange formations. They did not follow normal trade routes. They slipped into unexplored space, into regions no counselor dared to claim. Scouts followed, curious or foolish, but many never returned. The few that did spoke in trembling voices, refusing to share details. Their eyes carried the look of soldiers who had seen something they were not meant to see. Whispers spread. The humans are hiding something. In the asteroid belt of Sol, massive structures were seen floating in the dark. Not stations for trade, not habitats for civilians. These were different, armored, shielded, filled with energy. Weapons platforms, perhaps, or something worse. On Titan's frozen surface, satellites caught glimpses of towers stretching into the skies, their purpose unknown. Energy readings spiked, stronger than anything the Council had measured before. Some said it was a new power source. Others claimed it was a weapon being tested. And beyond Saturn, fleets of human warships trained in silence. Their designs were unlike any known pattern. Their hulls were thick, their shapes sharp and angular. Engines flared with sudden bursts of speed, faster than what the Council believed possible. The humans were preparing, but for what? Inside the Council chamber, panic grew. Reports from spies and scouts filled the air with dread. The humans were building fleets faster than predicted. They were colonizing worlds the Council thought uninhabitable. They were inventing technologies that had no equal in the Council's libraries. One counselor, his voice shaking, said what many feared. They are not expanding like us. They are not copying us. They are inventing their own path, and it is a path we cannot see. The chamber erupted with anger and fear. Some demanded war before the humans became unstoppable. Others begged for peace before it was too late. But no one could agree. And while they fought each other, humanity continued to build. In deep space, beyond the edges of map charts, strange signals appeared. Faint, powerful, and alien, but not the kind of alien the Council recognized. Some claimed they were human experiments. Others said they were testing new drives that bent space itself. One scout ship reported seeing a human vessel vanish into the void, not through a wormhole, but through something new, a jump unlike any the galaxy had seen before. The scout's recording ended abruptly, the transmission cut off mid-sentence. The ship was never found again. The rumor spread like wildfire. The humans have found a new way to travel. If it was true, then no border, no blockade, no army could contain them. And still, humanity said nothing. No messages, no warnings, no explanations, only silence. That silence became heavier with every new sighting, every unexplained signal, every vanished scout. The galaxy no longer saw humanity as reckless children. Now they saw something else, something far more dangerous, a shadow moving in the dark. The people of the galaxy began to whisper in fear. On distant colonies, citizens locked their doors at night, imagining human ships falling from the sky. Merchants prayed that their routes would not cross human patrols. Soldiers checked their weapons again and again, though no war had yet begun. And across the Council's member worlds, leaders looked to the stars with unease. For centuries, they had been the hunters, the rulers, the law. But now, it felt as if a new predator had entered the galaxy. Back in the chamber, General Karath roared once more. Every day we wait, they grow stronger. Every day we argue, they prepare for war. Soon it will be too late. We must strike now, while we still hold power. But Counselor Lethra of Silura answered him again, calm and cold. And what if you are wrong, Karath? What if they are not preparing for war, but for something greater? What if their silence hides not a weapon, but a destiny? Attack them, and you may awaken something none of us can survive. Her words chilled the chamber, because no one could answer. No one knew what humanity's silence meant. And so the council divided further. The war faction sharpened their blades. The peace faction begged for restraint. The spies vanished into the dark, chasing answers that never came back. Meanwhile, humanity kept working, building, expanding, watching. Their fleets moved like shadows. Their weapons were hidden, but ready. Their silence pressed hard on the galaxy's heart. And in that silence, the galaxy began to understand the truth. Humanity was not ignoring them. Humanity was warning them. And the real fear was not what humans had already built. The real fear was what they were building next. For months, the Galaxy Council had lived in fear of shadows. Human fleets that vanished into the dark. Human colonies that rose where no life should survive. Human silence that crushed every attempt at peace. The council fractured. Armies sharpened their blades. Traders hid their fleets. Scholars whispered of doom. Yet still, no one knew the truth. Until the day a human walked into the council chamber. It happened without warning. The chamber was in session, filled with shouting voices. Warlords roared for invasion. Traders begged for restraint. The High Speaker struck his staff again and again, but his voice no longer carried power. The chamber was chaos. Then, the doors opened. A single figure stepped inside. The chamber fell silent at once. It was a human. He was not armored, not armed. No fleet stood behind him, no guards at his side. Just one man, dressed in simple clothes, his face calm and steady. His footsteps echoed through the hall as thousands of alien eyes turned toward him. For the first time, humanity had sent an envoy. The human walked to the center of the chamber. He did not bow. He did not kneel. He simply stood, hands behind his back, eyes sharp as steel. The High Speaker's golden eyes narrowed. You enter without permission. Who are you? The human's voice was steady, every word clear. I am no one important. I am only here to bring the answer of my people. The chamber trembled with whispers. After centuries of silence, the council would finally hear why humanity refused them. The High Speaker lifted his staff. Then speak. Tell us why your people defy the laws of the galaxy. Why do you refuse gifts of peace? Why do you insult this council with silence? The human's gaze swept across the chamber. Thousands of alien leaders, each one powerful, each one proud. And yet, when his eyes met theirs, many looked away. Then he spoke. Because we remember. Confusion rippled through the chamber. The High Speaker's voice cracked. Remember? Remember what? The human's answer was calm, but heavy. We remember what you did to the others, To the young species who came before us, you called it negotiation. You called it guidance. But we know the truth. You enslaved them. You used them. You bent them to your will. That is why we do not negotiate. Gasps filled the chamber. Some counselors shouted in denial. Others lowered their eyes in shame. The human's voice did not rise, but every word cut through the air like a blade. We have read the ruins you tried to hide. We have seen the evidence in the forgotten worlds. You broke every species that could not resist. You dressed it in laws, in treaties, in friendship. But in the end, it was control. And you will not control us. Silence fell heavier than before. For centuries, the council had buried their past. They spoke of unity, but their history was built on domination. They thought no one would ever uncover it. But humanity had. The High Speaker tried to recover, his voice sharp. You speak boldly for one so small. You claim to know the truth, but you are young. Do you think you can stand against the galaxy? The human's eyes locked on his. No fear, no hesitation. We do not think. We know, because we stand free. And we will remain free. You will not enslave us. You will not guide us. You will not chain us. We do not negotiate with those who would make us kneel. The chamber shook with his words. The warlords rose to their feet, furious. This is arrogance. This is rebellion. We should burn their world before they spread further. But others did not join the anger. The traders were silent, their thoughts clouded with fear. The scholars bowed their heads, knowing the truth of the human's words. Even some generals shifted uneasily, remembering how quickly humans had grown, how their fleets had vanished into the dark. The High Speaker raised his voice again, but for the first time in his long rule, it sounded weak. You dare to threaten us in our own chamber. The human's answer was cold and final. No, we do not threaten. We simply refuse. If you call that rebellion, so be it. But know this, we will not kneel. The chamber fell silent again. Thousands of alien leaders sat frozen, staring at a single human who stood against them all. And in that silence, the truth spread through the galaxy. Humanity had not ignored the council because of weakness. They had ignored them because they knew the truth, because they had chosen freedom, because they were unafraid. And the galaxy, for the first time in centuries, felt the balance shift. The chamber of the Galaxy Council had never known such silence. Thousands of alien leaders sat frozen, their minds shaken by the words of one human. For centuries, no species had dared speak to the council with such defiance. No one had ever stood in that chamber without bowing, without begging, without fear. But now, a single human had spoken, and his words echoed like thunder. We will not kneel. The High Speaker gripped his staff, his golden eyes burning with rage. He had ruled for decades, unchallenged, feared across the stars. But in that moment, he felt something he had not felt in centuries, uncertainty. His voice shook as he struck the staff on the stone floor. You speak as though humanity is strong enough to stand alone against the galaxy. You are but one species. We are thousands. You cannot win. The human raised his chin, his face calm. You are wrong. We already have won, because we will never give you what you want. You seek control. You seek submission. But humanity was not built to kneel. We stand, even when we are outnumbered. We fight, even when we are outmatched. We endure, even when the galaxy turns against us. That is our strength. The chamber shook with whispers. Some warlords slammed their fists, demanding war. But their voices no longer carried the same power. Others sat in silence, their eyes fixed on the human. For the first time, they saw not weakness in the species, but something else, unyielding will. The human's voice grew louder, carrying across the hall. You call yourselves a council of peace, but your peace is built on chains. You claim to guide the young, but your guidance is slavery. You rule with fear, not wisdom. And now, you fear us, because we do not fear you. The word struck deeper than any weapon. Many counselors turned their eyes away. They knew it was true. The council's history was stained with broken species, civilizations forced into obedience, voices silenced forever. But humanity had seen through the lies, and humanity refused. The High Speaker tried again, but his voice was strained. then you leave us no choice. If you will not join us, then you will stand alone, and alone you will fall. The human did not flinch. His words were cold and final. We have always stood alone. That is why we are still here. You think we fear death? You think we fear war? No, we fear only chains, and we will break any who try to place them on us. The chamber erupted. Some shouted for war. Some cried for caution. The chamber that once ruled the galaxy now trembled with division. But the human was not finished. He raised his hand, silencing even the chaos. His final words rang like a hammer upon the galaxy. We are not prey. We are not subjects. We are not children to be guided. We are human, and we will write our own place among the stars. Not through your counsel, not through your chains, but through our own strength, our own will, our own freedom. Remember this day, because the galaxy has changed. Humanity has spoken. For a long moment, there was nothing but silence. The chamber, the most powerful gathering in the galaxy, sat frozen before one lone human. And in that silence, the truth spread across every star system, every empire, every world. The council had not broken humanity. Humanity had broken the council. The High Speaker lowered his staff. His voice was no longer commanding, no longer sure. He muttered words that would be remembered for ages. The galaxy will never be the same. That day, history shifted. The council, once the center of all power, had been shaken by a single refusal. Wars would follow. Alliances would fracture. Fear would spread. But one truth could no longer be denied. Humanity had declared itself, not with weapons, not with conquest, but with something greater, an unbreakable will. And in the centuries to come, every world would remember the words spoken in that chamber. The day when one human stood before the galaxy and said, "We will not kneel.